A good friend once told me overlanding is just working on your vehicle in exotic places. Based on my experience, I believe this to be quite accurate. I've worked on our van in remote locations all over Canada, the United States, and Mexico. I don't always get to choose where and when I have to do that work, which can be interesting. In this case, we've chosen to do some final repairs and maintenance in the city of Phoenix, Arizona. Not the most exotic of places, but it's got a good friend's driveway and another friend's shop where we can park up for a few weeks and tear down the van.
Yes, chef.
What are you making?
A cheeseburger frittata.
Wow. That sounds like an excellent way to start off a week of work on the van.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, work and breakfast.
Cheeseburger frittata.
Cheeseburger frittata.
So we've got
This brick of
egg.
frittata.
So we've got potatoes and shallots on the bottom, and then the ground beef that's left over from last night in the middle, and then a whole bunch of garden greens that we're gonna go off, and then I topped it all with eggs and cottage cheese, and then I topped that with cheddar cheese.
Nice. So delicious.
Are we going to our friend's place?
We're going to our friends.
Our really good friends?
Yeah.
Which good friends are they?
Jose and Jenna.
Oh, we're going to go see Jose and Jenna and the girls.
See.
Yes,
Yes.
If you've been with us for a while, you'll recognize this driveway. Last winter, we were on and off this driveway for about a month, fixing, upgrading, and diagnosing issues on Betty before heading to Baja. Not much different from this time around, actually.
Hey there, folks. We have made it to Arizona, which means we have a week of vehicle maintenance ahead of us. We're here at our friend Jose and Jenna's place in Phoenix, and we're going to be doing a bunch of the suspension work on the van. And then later next week, we're going to go to our friend Lauren's place where we're going to do all of the engine work. Engine work is going to be quite significant because we're going to take out all of this stuff to access the doghouse. And then after that, we are going to take off the intake manifold and address the NOx sensors. We're also going to replace mass airflow sensor, O2 sensors, power steering pump, and a few other little things that need to be done in the van. We're basically just trying to get all of our ducks in a row, make sure that we have all of the maintenance issues addressed on the van before we dive into Mexico, because we just don't want to be bothered with engine work while we're on the road. I should probably stop talking, and we'll go and wash the van today and then get parts and then start fixing things. Let's go. All right, we're back in the driveway. We've been to the parts store. We've got some of the stuff that I need. We're doing all new AC Delco brake calipers around the entire van. We gotta wait for those to be shipped. And in the meantime, we've got the ball joint press tool so that I can press out the upper ball joints, and we can kind of get started on some of the other suspension stuff. And before we do that, we're just gonna introduce you to the sponsor of this video. Alright guys, within these two boxes is our new sponsored product, and we are sponsored by, drumroll please, POWERSTOP brakes. And we are so stoked about this. We have been dealing with brake issues on this van since the day we started, like really taking it off-road, hitting super bumpy and washboarded roads, and we got the drilled and slotted brake rotors for all four corners. So I'm gonna go ahead and unbox all of this stuff, give you guys a look at what we're dealing with, and then we're gonna get started on some of the other stuff, and eventually we'll be replacing all of the brakes on the van, which, whew, hopefully no more brake rattle. All right, now we got the brake pads. These are for the rear. These are proprietary brake pads for POWERSTOP brakes specifically. Check those out. Yeah. So as per mentioned in our last video, we're carrying a bunch of spares with us, and that includes spare brake pads. POWERSTOP was nice enough to send us an extra set of brake pads for us for when we're down in South America and inevitably have to change out the brake pads after driving crazy steep grades up and down through the Andes. Massive thanks to POWERSTOP Brakes for sponsoring our journey and giving us a new set of brakes, and we're going to be all the safer for it. Alright, so the first thing that we are going to be tackling are these cam bolts. So these are responsible for the alignments in the front end of the Chevy Express. Right before we left Canada, I brought the van into my favorite alignment shop, RPM Alignment in Abbotsford, BC. They tried to do an alignment on the van, and unfortunately, the factory alignment bolts that I have in the van are worn out, and the tabs are starting to come out. Also, I guess the threads are starting to strip as well. What I've done is I've bought brand new AC Delco alignment cam bolts, and I'm going to put these in, get an alignment, and then once we're done with the alignments, everything's good, we're going to upgrade these. So we're actually going to take these out and we're going to put something else in. I'll show you what those are. Right here is a product by Dirt King Suspension. They're like an off-road, long travel suspension company, and they make this product right here. And this is basically the exact same as this, but it doesn't have the slider, and so you can actually lock in your alignment so that you never knock it out. And the problem with these particular cam bolts is that if you hit a hard bump, which we definitely do, you can knock your alignment out on these sliders. And so with this, you upgrade the pins and then you upgrade these cam adjustments. You lock in your alignment. I paid a lot of money for these, and then I found them on Amazon for like considerably cheaper. I'll make sure to link it in the description below if you want to do something like this. But this is going to be a massive upgrade for us because obviously we really take the van into places we probably shouldn't go with a two-wheel drive van. We've had this issue before where we've knocked our alignments loose and had to like tighten it up and kind of eyeball it. And this is just going to completely mitigate or stop it.
One of the huge benefits of having your front end apart as often as we do is that everything comes apart really easy. The cam bolts came out quick, upper ball joints released with a few light smacks with a hammer, and before I knew it, the upper control arm was out.
So the next thing I'm going to be taking care of is the alignment pins. So I bought this product again from Dirt King, and these are some upgraded alignment pins. The old ones are kind of worn out and starting to come out, so I'm going to punch those out and then press these in. Okay, so we're going to use one of these new pins from Dirt King, and we're going to put it in like so. So after a little bit of tinkering, we figured out that this works. I have a bolt at the end here over top of the pin, and then I'm just tightening the vice grip with an Allen wrench, and it's pressing the pin into place. Now that we have the upper control arm out, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that it's out of the van, and I'm going to change out this upper ball joint. Now, this upper control arm has been replaced before, and so it does actually have a C-clip, and I can press it out, unlike the factory ones. Always make sure to wear your safety sandals when you're working on heavy stuff like this. Lubricate those threads, otherwise they bind up really, really quick. That easy. Goodness gracious. Whew! Love it. So easy. All right, so I've pretty much got everything done that I can get done today. I've got the whole kind of top end of the suspension reassembled. So we got the upper control arm back in, new adjustment cams, the upper ball joint is in. Yeah, we're still just waiting for calipers.
I'm preemptively replacing the upper ball joints because although the upper control arms were replaced along with the upper ball joint only 2 years ago, after the job was done, I realized the shop that had completed the work hadn't greased any of the ball joints. After doing a long section of a previous Baja 1000 route that was really rough, I feared that there had been early damage done. I replaced the lower ball joints last year, and now I'm doing the uppers. Now I can rest assured that the front end is ready for a 1.5 years of abuse down the Pan American Highway.
We've got the second side all finished up as you saw, so that means that it is time to start installing new brakes. So that means we get to put these guys in. And this morning I went to the parts store and I picked up new calipers. So I think we're gonna be stopping real good and oh, that's heavy. Yeah.
We've chosen the POWERSTOP Z36 Truck and Tow Brake Upgrade Kit because it offers reliable stopping power that is designed to handle the added stress of towing, hauling, and mountainous driving. The components within this brake kit are designed to work together to maximize stopping power and provide a long-lasting performance over stock OE brakes. The brake pads are a carbon fiber ceramic formula that offers durable, reliable stopping power that resists brake dust and noise. The drilled and slotted rotors keep brake temperatures down by maximizing heat dissipation, critical for those long mountain descents, which, as you can imagine, we'll be seeing plenty of. With our previous OE brakes, we were constantly getting warping in our rotors and brake fade at the end of long descents, even while using our gears to maintain speed. This was really scary, and I'm looking forward to not having that issue in the future.
Okay, well there you have it, guys. We got POWERSTOP front rotors and pads on the van, new calipers, new upper ball joint, and adjustment cams for the alignment. I'm gonna get this all cleaned up and the other side tucked away, and then we're gonna move on to the back brakes.
Unfortunately, due to some misinformation, we wound up with brake rotors for the semi-floating axle that originally came under this van. So we won't be able to install the new rotors on the back brakes just yet, but we can still get the new calipers and pads installed. And just as quickly as I finished up the install of the rear brakes, we were bidding farewell to Jose, Jenna, and the girls, and moving on to Lauren and Carla's place to start engine work.
Well, welcome to home for the next week.
Our new home.
Okay, so we've just transitioned from Jose and Jenna's place to Lauren and Carla's place. And you might remember Lauren from last year. We did a bunch of axle issue diagnosis and welding here. Lauren and Carla have graciously offered up their shop for us to work in yet again. And we're gonna do all of the engine work here. And that means we're probably gonna be in the shop here for about a week as we
plod away through all the various jobs that we have to do. Jobs we will be doing are the knock sensors for sure, O2 sensors, power steering pump, one or two other little things that we got to do, and we're still waiting on rotors from POWERSTOP just so we can finish up the back end. Let's get on with taking care of these engine issues. All right, first things first, let's see what we got to install. But before that, safety sandals, check. So we got ourselves some exhaust manifold gaskets, 8x spark plugs, double platinum by AC Delco, very nice. O2 sensor taker offer tool, excellent. One O2 sensor, two O2 sensors, three O2 sensors, four O2 sensors. One serpentine belt pulley, this is staying as a spare. One complete tensioner pulley assembly, this is going to go on. This is a spare oil pressure sensor. This right here is a knock sensor harness that is going to go on the van. So for a second there I panicked, I thought I hadn't got my knock sensors, but I do. These are AC Delco knock sensors that are GM genuine, I guess. AC Delco, GM genuine, same thing. These are going in the van, and that's the main fix. This is going to be the big one. And in addition, we're going to be putting a new air filter in, and then down there is the power steering pump, and it is leaky. So that means we got to replace that. Okay, we're going to start with low-hanging fruit, pun intended. I've got this funny little wrench to take off my O2 sensors. Let's see how easy this is. There we go, gotcha. So just to show you what I'm dealing with here, you can see the tool right there. You can see the O2 sensor and the little adapter thing. It's up in a pretty tight spot and does not give me a lot of room, but pretty cool tool. I'm pretty happy with how easy these have come off actually. Okay, so we've got all four sensors, all the new ones in, which was way easier than I thought it was going to be. Next thing to start is the actual process of getting the knock sensors out of the engine. So all this stuff has to come out of the way. I've got to pull everything out of the cab. So our center storage unit, our refrigerator, and probably the passenger seat, and then pull the doghouse and start disassembling everything. So it's a big process to get at the knock sensors. Unfortunately, they're right down underneath the air intake, right in the middle of the engine. So I've got to remove fuel lines, obviously the intake manifold. This is the stuff that I've been dreading doing, unfortunately. But I'll do it. All right, there you go. That's what it takes to get at the engine bay inside our van. This would all have been made a lot easier if we didn't have our refrigerator center console thing right here. I'm gonna take all of that out just so that I can get the doghouse off. And there's all the stuff that came out of the van. All right, guys. Well, I didn't feel like shooting this whole process because there was far too much cursing and cussing. But I have managed to disconnect all the injectors on the engine, which took me probably way longer than it should have. So now that that is done, I'm gonna dive into actually pulling the intake out. But I'm gonna do that tomorrow because I don't want to overwork myself. This is a process I don't want to mess up. So, yep, tomorrow. So we're back in the van, and I have managed to procrastinate until 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the next day from the last clip. We're actually very close. I only have a few more things to disconnect before I can pull the intake and start cleaning out underneath. And yeah, I don't like this job anymore. Didn't like it from the beginning, don't like it anymore, but it's got to be done. This, kids, is what happens when you say, oh, I can do that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Woo! Did it! Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's brutal. I think I know why our knock sensors are toast. Phew! Look at that. It's so bad.
After closer inspection, it was pretty clear that somehow, at some point, there had been a rodent living in our engine, long enough to leave a sizable pile of droppings for me to clean up.
Where is my ratchet? Ow. That is a disgusting... Oh! Brutal.
The rear knock sensor that I pulled out had been heavily corroded, and the hole that it was seated in was full of rusty water. It's always nice to receive conclusive answers with these kind of diagnostics. It was quite obvious that the knock sensor was the issue and nothing else.
Alright guys, there you go. Got new knock sensors in, got the intake plenum and intake ports all cleaned up. I can probably do a little bit more to get it a little bit cleaner. Might just do that, but now it is on to cleaning the actual intake manifold itself and getting the new gaskets on, making everything there look pretty. So I just finished cleaning off the intake. I hit it with some degreaser. The whole intake was full of oil, which from very recent research, very quick research, I've learned that it's a common problem in the older 4.8s. So I've ordered new valve covers which should deal with the problem. So basically what is happening is there's like an oil orifice slash PCV, and it's just blowing oil into the intake from the valve covers. So the updated valve covers have kind of like a better system. So I'm gonna finish cleaning this up, get all the water out of it after cleaning it, and then put new gaskets on. One thing I'm doing before I shut her down for the night, you can see there's kind of like a dam of RTV around the knock sensor holes. This was actually in a GM recall or some kind of notice, and it was suggested by the GM, I don't know, manufacturer to do that, and it just keeps stuff out of those holes. And yeah, I'm just gonna let that set overnight and then put the harness in tomorrow. Well, the spark plugs on the passenger side all look pretty good. They're not fouled like I thought they might be. So, I'm still going to put the new ones in because these are NGKs and I got AC Delcos, but inconclusive. Alright, here goes nothing. Goodbye, power steering fluid. Okay, for my next trick, I'm going to take off the alternator. Oh. Victory is mine. Whew. There you go. That's the old power steering pump. Look at that. It was leaking for a long time. Well, folks, I took the liberty of going and installing the brand new power steering pump. It's in now, and I just got to go back to the parts store to get the pulley puller so that I can get the pulley back on. So that's finished, and the next thing we're going to go and do is we're going to tackle all of this delicious rust that I thought I fixed, but it's definitely not fixed. And I'm now in a dry climate where there's not going to be any water getting in there, so huzzah.
On my previous attempt at rust repair, I did so in a very wet climate. During the process, moisture got in behind the paint or was caught in the vacancy between panels and began to rust through shortly after. This time around with a drier climate, I'm coating everything with POR 15, which is an effective rust stopping coating. I've devised a method of running the power steering pump using my impact gun. I thought it was clever, but later on learned that I should have primed the pump with fluid and let it sit for a while before installing. You live and learn. I'm not a self-professed mechanic. I just can take stuff apart and put it back together. Well, that worked pretty darn good. The parts guy finally arrived after the entire day, and we got the last of the parts for Betty. So I'm gonna open this up, show you guys what we got, and I'll install them tomorrow. Alright, so this is the reason we're getting new valve covers. So when we pulled off the intake, I noticed there's a lot of oil in the intake, like a lot of oil, like almost resting oil. And that means that there is a lot of pressure underneath these valve covers, and it's spewing oil into the intake. Apparently Chevy upgraded these valve covers, and you can see this one right here. This section right here is the upgraded section. I'm gonna install these tomorrow and then start reassembly, which I'm excited about because Friday's tomorrow and we gotta get going. All right, today is the day that we finish this. The valve covers are coming off, the new ones are going back on, and then after that, I can reinstall everything. So let's do it. Reinstallation of everything took only a few hours, and everything went back together fairly easy. With any luck, these fixes will have us back on the road and rolling without issue for a long time to come. Back end of the engine is checked over, and we got the front end of the engine all buttoned up. I think it's time to start the van. Scary! Okay, it's running. All right, it's test drive time. Well, I call that a success. And with that, we packed up, said our goodbyes to Lauren and Carla, and hit the road. But I only made it as far as an alignment shop and then back to Jose and Jenna's to complete our rear brake install. And that there, folks, is what it takes to drive a vehicle down the Pan American Highway. I'm not going to tell you that every single one of these repairs and upgrades was 100% necessary. Honestly, we probably could have made it to Argentina with the van running just the way it was, but we'd much rather start the trip with an issue-free vehicle. Continuously maintaining your vehicle and addressing issues as quickly as possible is a practice I've adopted to ensure our vehicle doesn't leave us on the side of the road somewhere we don't want to be. Then, finally, after only 2 weeks this time, we were leaving Phoenix and heading south once again. We want to send out a special thank you to our host families, Jose and Jenna and Lauren and Carla, for taking us in and providing a place for us to work, eat, and relax while we attended to all of this maintenance. Your generosity, hospitality, and kindness is greatly appreciated. With this short chapter behind us, we can now focus our attention on the final preparations to cross into Mexico and leave behind the comforts of the Western world so we can begin to embrace Latin America.
Coffee's on.
Coffee's on.
Waiting.
Okay. Well, folks, that's it. That's all. The van is fixed up, ready to go, in better shape than she probably has been since we started traveling around, which is so exciting. And hopefully we don't have any more issues further on down the road. So, yeah. Next stop, Mexico. Boop, boop.
If you would like to see exclusive behind-the-scenes content, routes, and camp spot information, or if you just want to help us out by putting some gas in our tank, you can subscribe to the Slow Roamers and Patreon. Also, make sure to check out slowroamers.com to get rad Slow Roamers merchandise.